our time. We're having the most productive hour, right? But no, I'm super excited, and I appreciate you coming in. So the reason why I want to speak with you in specific is kind of what we were just talking about before we hit record. There's a lot of people in this group. We have 20 or 30 organic people joining a day. I talk to at least one or two people a day that book into my calendar organically from this group. You are obviously working within one of the biggest companies in this space, so you way more than me have a really good pulse on like what business owners are struggling with, what they need and what they don't need. But then on the other side of this, there's a lot of sales reps here that also need help with not only the tactical side of things, but advancing in their career, finding the right offers. And I'm really excited to have you here. Just for reference, everyone, this is Spencer. Spencer is the CMO for Closers.io. Met him back in Arizona a few months back, and he was definitely one of the people that I looked up to very, very early. And want to have a short and concise conversation on a few things. Number one, for business owners, how you can obviously make more money, specifically with the setting team, how you guys can, really build a team, hire the right team, and have the right processes. But then also setters, how can you get to the right roles as well? But I don't want to speak for you. I don't know if you want to make a quick introduction, but I'm happy to have you.
No, man, I'm just my name is Spencer and I'm happy to help anyone I can. So what I'm a pretty open book. So whatever you want to ask, I'm happy to give you my 2 cents.
You've been in the info space for over 10 years, and it's interesting talking to people that have been in it pre-COVID, right? Because you have an idea of like trends, more like long-term trends and like where it's going. And just a quick question, like where do you feel like this industry is going in 2026, just in general?
Um yeah, my take on the info industry is, well, let me relate it to my experience previously. So pre 2020, the big trend at that time was automated webinars. And so everybody wanted to run a webinar funnel, including me. That's how I made my first like significant money. Um, and you know, I felt victim to this. But what happens is every kind of trend, there's all these people that pop up in that trend and get into info. And I'm speaking business owners, sales, it doesn't matter, just people, right? And they believe that that is the info industry. And so like when I was kind of saying this story earlier, but like back in the day, like I know this sounds crazy. I like genuinely believed the only way to make money in info was with a webinar. That's it. Like there's different ways of generating traffic. There's paid and organic and stuff. But like at the end of the day, like a webinar is the conversion mechanism that works.
Yeah.
And I think like what happens is like naturally, one of the things you learn in marketing is like it's way better to be different than to be better. So in other words, like I want to just look different than everyone else. That's going to get me much better results than if I try to appear better but doing the same thing, right? Like that's the whole idea of a unique mechanism. If you study Todd Brown or I mean Russell Brunson talks about this, like everyone talks about that, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens naturally is like these people flood into the industry. They believe that the info industry is one thing. It is it's webinars. And so all these people start launching webinars and they build up the skill sets around building a business off of webinars. And that's what I did. And I scaled to like 400 or 500 grand a month doing that. It's great. Zero salespeople. My entire company was me, my business partner, and like a VA.
Yeah.
Like that was great. Um, and and then Cole popped up and high ticket sales already existed. So I'm not here to say Cole invented it. He definitely did not invent it. But like he made it mainstream, for lack of better words. Like before him, the go-to funnel was webinar. After him, the go-to funnel was a direct VSL call funnel.
Yeah.
Right. Um, and now you have all of the people to really answer your question. You have all these people who have come into info, and that is like the thing. It's like a direct call funnel. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? It's been another 4 or 5 years, and things are different now. Everyone and their mom has seen a direct offer. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean it doesn't work anymore. But when Cole launched his, I did a Facebook post about this recently. Um, when you launch a direct offer, VSL, or direct offer advertising, where you're leading with the offer, right?
Yeah.
That was super easy to do for about 3 years because previous to that, all of the ads were super indirect. It was like, there's a new secret way to do this thing. Click down below and watch the training. We'll reveal it, and it's like, oh, I want to know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, Cole comes around, he goes, hey, I'm just going to give you this thing guaranteed or you don't pay. And it was like, that was like no one ever thought about that. I know it's so obvious now, but no one ever thought, right? And so I'm getting a very long-winded answer to this question, but hopefully it'll give you what's happened is all these people have now popped up into info, and the only thing they know how to do is direct offer advertising,
Yeah.
right? And the problem is like consumer trust is at an all-time low, right? Interest rates are at, not all-time highs, but the highest they've been in a decade or two, right? And frankly, everyone and their mom has seen a direct offer ad. Like there's no one left that hasn't is like, oh, what's this? A direct offer? That's crazy,
It's crazy.
And so that's why everybody is like, oh, it's so much harder to sell info now. It's like, no, it's not. Like if you do exactly what everyone else is doing and you have no innovation whatsoever, yes, it's harder. But that was always the case, you
Yeah.
know. And so the question that becomes, well, how do you have innovation and set yourself up as a business owner and as a sales rep to have success in 2026? And if you're running a direct offer VSL, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, to be clear. We have a tremendous amount of clients that do that are very successful. You just have to understand the nuances of doing it in 2026 versus 2020. And a lot of people are still stuck as if they're in 2020, 2021. They think they can just do the same thing. And that's not how it works.
So what do the setters have to do differently, especially from a management point of view of like managing them, but then also the setting side, moving forward? Like, what do you feel like? Well, I mean, first and foremost, do you feel like setting is going to become more important in the next year? And then if so, what's going to have to be done differently for really people to have success?
Yeah, I mean, um, I think setting becomes more important every year for the next 10 years. And that's not just me saying that to blow smoke, because I know that's like your thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, genuinely, if you just think about logically, like where the world is at, it's like we have AI coming around. Everyone's trying to fucking AI everything. Okay. And, lo and behold, there's 101 AI setter companies, and all of them suck. Okay. All of them don't do a good job, and that's no shade on them. Like they're doing the best that they can with the technology. But, people are not dumb. And people know when they're talking to an AI or texting an AI or communicating to some sort of bot or something, versus, a legit, appointment setter who is skilled, who knows the offer in and out, who has conviction in the offer, conviction that they can help, that this offer can help them. It's just a whole different experience. And so we were really, a couple of years ago, we were really concerned. We're like, oh man, like a lot of our ads are based on giving them setters, and like,
Yeah.
with AI, like what's gonna happen? And like, dude, our ads have become more profitable. Like
Yeah.
they're working, you know. It's because people, especially now, they've business owners have tried the AI stuff. It doesn't work,
Yeah.
and then like I need actual good people. Like, guess what? AI is not a replacement for an entire team. Like, sorry,
Not even DM setting, they can figure it out, most people too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the same thing. Yeah.
So in terms of like management best practices, the number one most important thing from management's perspective, or like from managing a setting team, is I mean, I know this sounds so simple, but I promise you this is like the easiest, most consistent lever we've seen over and over again. So if you don't know, we invested in Dialer.io, right, which is obviously like dialing system. And so we have like very in-depth data on like setting teams and performance of setters, all that, like more in depth than the way we built the system, more in depth than what you get with any other dial, right? And what I can tell you is I've had long conversations with Matt Ryder, who's the founder of the company, about this, is of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of setters that we have on the platform, there are like two that actually call for more than 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So like just actually call for more than 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean that's like, and guess what? All of those are the two highest paying setters on the platform. And we know that because they work for two brands that like we're very close with, so we can ask them questions. But the way we set up the system is like we can track when they're actually calling, when they're waiting for an answer, what like their actual activity. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's like most setters to be candid, the volume is just not high enough.
Yeah.
Like whatever it comes down to.
Yeah.
Now, from a setter perspective, how can you set yourself up for success? Knowing that is like, well, make sure you're on an offer that has enough volume to where you can call 6 hours a day and not run out of leads.
Yeah. No, for sure. I want to hear your thought on this business model that I thought of. And I don't even know if it even has any merit or anything, but I feel like you'd be the best person to ask since you guys did design this initial funnel where it obviously had some brilliance in the space. Obviously, as you know, the space is getting bigger, and as these brands grow, they not only already have a big lead list, but it's going to get bigger. And then softwares like Dialo.io make it a lot easier to get in contact with the leads, higher pickup rates, less spam. And you're right, it's going to become more and more of a thing, right? And the issue with the market, I guess I see right now, and the reason is because of like basic business margins, right? You have 10% for a closer, you have 10% for a manager. Like you can't pay setters more. But in reality, the setting position is probably one of the most important jobs in the company because they have direct access to the pipeline, right? So like they putting in the work is directly correlated to that. And like my experience, for example, at like some very big like sales training companies, one setter was responsible for a large portion of the whole company's revenue every month, right? So what I was thinking was like, what if this model is flipped where like someone teaches setters and teaches closers how to be setters and the importance of being a setter, and then business owners' perspectives change on the model where they're open to giving up more of their margin to pay a setter closer more to actually go out there and really dial the leads, just like how those two lead, ones are dialing leads for 6 hours a day. And I guess my question to you is that like, do you feel like there's a world where setters can be paid more in the future? And do you feel like people are pivoting to that because they realize it's more of an important skill than closing sometimes in terms of like overall revenue for the business?
Hmm. Um, yeah, that's really interesting. Do I think there's a world where sellers can be paid more in terms of like a percentage of revenue? I mean, potentially,
Yeah.
but I think the there's headwinds with your idea, candidly. The headwinds are number one, it's really not that it's impossible, but it's really, really hard to convince people to go backwards. Really, really hard.
Yeah.
Right. Like even if they logically believe they're gonna make more money as a setter than they would as a closer, because maybe they're underperforming or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Uh it's it takes a very particular person to have the humility to go back, right?
Yeah.
Um and then in a different way, you're kind of operating with the same mindset as you are with um uh getting business owners to pay more, because fundamentally, like, business owners, they can pay setters whatever they want, but they're in a kind of an indirect way, it's connected to the cost of getting leads, right?
Yeah.
um like, that's why if you think about, like, to get technical, like a BDR, someone who actually goes out and, like, we just like downloaded a list of leads, like I don't even know who we
Yeah.
are, and like you're gonna go like door knock. That's why those people get paid so much,
Yeah.
compared to like inbound setters, right? Because like the cost of acquiring a lead is effectively zero.
Yeah.
So like we can get way more money, right? But the second headwind is, ad costs are only increasing. Right? They're always inflationary. They're always going up.
Yeah.
And so based on that, like, one of two things is going to happen with businesses. Number one is they're going to continue to fight it and try to lower ad costs, which obviously every business is doing all the time. But number two is ultimately you can't support a business purely off your ad cost being low. You have a higher level LTV. Like you have to increase LTV, right?
Yeah.
And so my concern is, I think as ad costs increase, it's going to be hard for like CROs and CEOs to like look at the allocation of budget going to front end acquisition and carve out, hey, instead of 3% or 4%, whatever the commissions are for their setting team,
Yeah.
to go, let's try 5 or 6%. You
Yeah.
know, um, so yeah, that's my diagnosis, pal.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And I know your response to those questions obviously going to be like dependent on the situation and the person's strengths and what they have and what they don't have in terms of like assets. But I think that Cole's quite known for, and forgive me if you guys do, but you guys don't do a lot of DM funnels, do you? Or is it mostly phone funnels?
Like you're saying internally with how we market, or you're saying like with
So,
our clients?
no, it just internally, yeah.
Yeah, internally we don't. We've done some, but not a ton.
Yeah. Do you feel like DM funnels? So, first and foremost, uh, I think I think anyone can agree that having a phone funnel is more important and it's better because it's just have a point of contact. You're talking to someone, it's easier. Do you see with the rise of influencers like DM funnels becoming bigger? And a lot of the issues that I see with a lot of people that I speak to is that they just can't crack it, bro. Like my partner George with DMsetting.com, I think he has like 17 done for you active clients that he manages like their DMs for. And there's just something that I think doesn't click with a lot of people with like running a DM funnel. And I just want to hear your kind of thoughts on what you think most people could be doing better. Because I think a lot of people also listening to this too would also can also like relate. Or maybe they don't have a funnel where they have like ads being run to like a page, or maybe they just have a large like following and they can't convert.
Yeah, you by the way, you broke up. I don't know if it was my side or your side.
Oh no.
Can you just repeat the last 20 seconds?
Oh no. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just saying for people that just run a DM funnel, a lot of people that I know struggle really, really, really bad. They have a strong following already, like they get eyeballs organically. They run funnels and they flop. What can people do to prevent that?
Yeah, so you're saying how do they improve their DM funnel? Is that
Yeah,
is that is that
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah, so our philosophy is as it relates to DM funnels is you always want to prioritize volume on the calendar. And I think a lot of times um companies are or not companies offers that we've seen that struggle with DM funnels. It's like the person responds to the swipe up ad or whatever,
yeah,
and then they gotta fucking answer 55 questions before they get the link to book a call. And it's like, dude, just like let's just book the call,
yeah,
and then we can be smart with our calendar management. We mark them as free right away, and we're still continuing the conversation to
yeah,
qualify them. But let's just start with let's get them on the calendar. Like the you got to strike while the iron's hot, right? Um, and when you do that, a couple things happen. Number one, obviously your total throughput goes up. Number two is because of the fact that they've already taken actual action and booked an appointment, the level of qualifying that they're willing to go through is in the DM is actually higher because like in the back of their mind they've like already kind of said yes for lack of better words to that they're interested and that they're taking
yeah,
action, right? Um, so that's like the number one with people that struggle with getting DM ads funnels to work, especially if they're influencers. That's like the number one thing. Um, yeah, another common one is they just try to automate too much of it. And I think there's some obviously there's some value to automating some of the conversation, but like, I do think having like an actual DM setter that's good is pretty important,
yeah.
and not just, many chatting everything. Right. Like,
The reason why I asked
uh
is because I think one thing that you said once or twice throughout reading what you said is that like a lot of people just aren't sales team ready, right? And a lot of the times these people get a lot of bookings, but they just shit the bed in terms of like maybe the pre-call process, the show process, and the closing. Um, how do you know like when a team's like um I guess like ready for that? I can show you my philosophy, but I'm sure you have a better philosophy than me. So
yeah. So we actually have an internal criteria, like when we're working with clients. Um, and so the criteria is first of all, they need to have a validated offer. So like a lot of times clients when they start working with us, they don't even have an offer. They're like, I want to be a health coach, and I want to help, women with hormonal issues or whatever. It's like, okay, like that's pretty vague. What's your offer? It's like, I don't have one. So we have a whole process for helping them create an offer, right? So that's number one. You need to have a validated offer. You need to have a validated traffic or marketing system, scalable marketing system, right? Which is, if we're going to do a DM funnel, that's totally fine, right? But if we're going to do that, we're going to do a short form funnel, we're going to do a BSL funnel, whatever it is, we
yeah,
need to not just be building that, but we have it validated to a point where like we're getting consistent quality leads through it, right? And then we need again, three key areas that were validated. A validated sales system. So in other words, we validated that the marketing is effective. Now we need to make sure that the sales process that we want in place is going to work. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, like people that you're speaking of, they skip that step and they go, "Oh, I'm just going to hire a salesperson. And they'll figure it out."
Yes, yes.
You know, and that does not work. 99% of the time, does not work.
Well,
So
because people come to me for hiring, and then we place a setter for them, and then it doesn't work out. And then the first question I always ask them is like, how much time have you spent yourself truthfully in your own DMs or dialing your own leads, right?
like
And
none, pretty much.
they've never done it.
No.
So I always tell people like, hey, like at least get to 20 or 30K a month if you're selling higher ticket, where you have the ability to have a process that people can repeat. A lot of people, it's just super interesting because like if people actually did the DMs or did the dials, it would make it much easier instead of trying to delegate it to someone. Because that's obviously like the highest revenue generating activity you can do as a business owner, right? It's
Yeah, well, dude, you're speaking my language, bro. Here's the other thing that I don't understand. Like, I genuinely, if you're a business owner watching this and you're doing this, please explain it to me. And I'm not like dissing you. I just like honestly, I want to understand like the like rationale, which is okay. I have a business owner. Oftentimes, people are starting info businesses. They can be from all walks of life, right? They could be young, like I was, starting my first business, trying to get out of my parents' house or whatever, right? To they have a full on, like they're a doctor, they're crushing it, and they want to start something on the side, right? Whatever it is. Okay, cool. And you have an opportunity to build something that is like effectively a money printing machine. It's like I put money into it, and then like 12 hours later, I put $1 in, I have like $5 back, right? And then all you have to do to do that, all you have to do for like 60 days is just do it yourself. While you do it yourself, you're also going to make a lot of money. So it's like the highest paid job you probably have for most people, 99% of people, right? And yet there's so much resistance to that idea. I have never understood. And it's like, I'm not good at sales. It's like, well, if you can't sell this, I'm going to guarantee you nobody can.
yeah,
Because you know what, if you don't even, if you, the person who created this thing, can't convey enough conviction to get someone to buy it,
yeah,
how do you expect someone who doesn't have the conviction you have in it to be able to do it? They're not going to, you know?
yeah,
Um, and people will take these principles. Like you can't, and I'm building a software company, right? As I mentioned earlier,
yeah,
you can't you can't apply the principles of selling software to info. They're completely different. With
yeah,
software, it's like the value prop is, hey, here's this thing we plug in your business and you make more money.
yeah,
Like that is the value prop. And it's like it's software. Like
yeah,
it's not like I have to convince you to believe in my coaching. Like it's either you think the software is going to work for you, you don't. I
yeah,
can help demo it. Like that's my extent. Uh, if you try to apply the principle of building a sales process in software, like a true software company, to info, it doesn't work because you have to convey like you got to believe that this is the right time to do this. You got to believe that you have to believe in the face of the brand, right? You got to believe that this unique mechanism, this offer is going to work for you, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people they try to apply that like software or other industries to info sales, and it just doesn't work. So for the love of all that is holy and mighty out there, please just message your own leads for like 45 days, make like 40 grand, and then hire someone. Like
yeah.
you're gonna be better off. I promise.
I do have some questions on your software and related to show rates here in a second, but I said this beliefs finishing off this point. There are some people, we don't gotta name names, but they sell a very broad audience into this industry, and they make people believe that anyone can become a coach, right? And it's great because the industry's growing. It helps Closers.io, it helps me, helps everyone, right? But the issue that causes is like I truly believe, man, that some people just are not meant to run a business that are doing it, just because of the sheer fact that they're not able or willing to sell themselves or do the work themselves. So it just happens. But anyways, yeah, like one thing that I always get questioned at from setters, and a lot of it's if you actually analyze and really like look into it, it's pretty easy to realize why most people's show rates are bad if they just do a little bit of look into their systems, look at their conversations. DM setters can analyze, phone setters, business owners. But for you, like, what are you guys doing different with like sales kick? And like, what do you feel like, especially in 2026, is going to be needed to actually maintain high show rates, especially in like this trust recession that we're kind of in, where these guys are probably applying to multiple ads and probably won't show because of any reason, right? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I think what's been interesting, and I'm going to steal something from Alex Ramosi. He has a quote around show rates. He says like, "There's no one silver bullet to fixing your show rate. It's 100 golden BBs."
Yeah.
And what he's really saying, to use another analogy, one of my favorite entrepreneurs of all time is this guy by the name of John Rockefeller, who started a company called Standard Oil a long time ago. And the way he scaled his business was first through a principle called operational efficiency. And so what he did was he went back and his company was refining oil, turning it into like sellable products for like the average consumer. Back then it was like kerosene, right? And he went back through every single step of the process that his company was doing. And he was like, how can we optimize this to be as efficient as humanly possible to like the nth degree? To a point where he went, and at that time they were shipping this oil in barrels, like in wooden barrels, right? You can imagine what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
And he went and he did a split test. Okay. They were using 40 nails to secure the barrel. And he was like, can we do 38 nails? I'll save 2 nails for every barrel. And that didn't work. Okay. The oil actually leaked out. So then he was like, can we do 39 nails? And that worked. Right. And you're like, okay, so he saved a nail. If you take how many nails he saved over the next 20 years of his business and not even inflation adjusted, it saved him like $5 million.
Yeah.
Okay. From one nail. Right. And so that's the mindset. I'm not saying you're going to do one nail, but I'm saying that's the mindset you have to have when you're looking at improving your show rate. It's not about any one specific tactic. Candidly, I'm actually a bit anti iMessage at the moment. I think it's a massive scam, and I'm happy to go on record and say that, and I can give you justification as to why that is. But a lot of people think like, oh, if I just implement iMessage, magically my show rate is going to be 80%.
Yeah.
No, what you need a cohesive system that does two things. It follows all the best practices and best practices in general, but also specific to the data of your offer. And it forces your team to follow those best practices 24/7, 365. And so many people build their offer, for lack of better words, on a foundation of sand, where it's like, oh yeah, like, I just have the closers confirm their calls. I just have them confirm their calls. It's like, okay, cool. When was the last time you reviewed those confirmations? Oh, never. Okay, cool. Well, do you ever notice that like one of your closers has an 80% sure rate and the other one has a 30% sure rate? You're like, oh yeah, it's so annoying. Why does that happen? It's like, well, I wonder why. Like, I wonder why. Have you investigated how they're confirming calls? They're probably doing it completely differently, right? What about how they manage their calendar? And so it's about all these little details and, for lack of better words, like little tactics, systematize best practices, doing that like 100 times over to stack the gains of show rate, and then forcing the company, both the salespeople, the management, all that, to follow those best practices so they get the best results.
So you're selling, just forgive me for my ignorance, like you're selling a piece of infrastructure basically that people can just plug and play.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's super smart. And I don't want to speak on this too soon, but like where I can imagine this kind of playing out is that like whenever there's these massive events in the agency space, right, and they have all those walls of like all of those brands, right? Like sales click could be something that could be on those walls, and it could just be a simple click that installs that like helps hold your closers and your setters accountable to higher standards, but then also helps you with you as well as a business owner actually see what's going on.
Yeah. There's three like key things that we help with. And really these are the three like most important part of sales operations. So to zoom out a little bit, in the acquisition function of your business, you have marketing, which generates opportunity. You have sales, which turns opportunity into closed deals and revenue, etc. But then you have a bridge between those two things. That's sales operations. And in one sentence, the function of that is to maximize the opportunity generated by marketing, right? and maximize the efficiency of your sales team. Because ultimately, if you can increase revenue without adding more salespeople, guess what? Your existing salespeople make more money, so they're happier, they're less likely to churn. They're not sitting on a bunch like I mean, dude, I closed for a long time. It's really annoying when you have 8 calls in your calendar and you sit there and then no show, no show. Oh,
Yeah.
here's a call. No show. Here's a call. Oh, no show, no show. It's just like, yeah, I just wasted my whole day. But I had to be here, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really the bridge between those two things. And so how do we actually do that? Well, there's three things that are required for a world-class sales operations department. Number one is how you manage your leads. So meaning, are we most efficiently managing the leads throughout the entire process? Number two is how you nurture your leads. So, okay, cool. We're managing them, we're routing them, we're doing whatever we need, calendar managing, all that. But now we need to nurture them to have the highest impact on share rates, right? And have people be the most bought in by the time they get to the call. And obviously, part of that is setters, right? And that's a huge part of it. And then there's other key parts of it too, right?
Yeah.
And then what ties all of that together is how you track things and
Mhm.
having the right data to make decisions. Because fundamentally, you can't improve these other two without tracking things properly. And guess what? That tracking also plays a huge role in optimizing sales and optimizing marketing, right?
Okay. The question that I have to follow up with this, it's similar but different. Obviously there's a lot of people that blame either side when it comes to why setting departments don't work out. It's the setter's fault, it's the business owner's fault. I think if we just all take accountability, business owners obviously should take most of the responsibility, not necessarily because it's their fault, but it's their responsibility, right? Matt talks about that a lot, Matt Ryder. Um, so what do you feel like business owners can be doing better to onboard setters, treat them better, and really just make sure that you get the most out of them?
Yeah, well, let's just start with like the very basics. Like, do you have a good onboarding process set up for your company for any position, period? And I'll tell you, this was one thing I recently, I don't know if you saw my story, but I was in Vegas hanging out with Hermosi,
Yeah.
and we got dinner together, and we talked to him and Layla a lot actually about onboarding because it's so important as it relates to just team members in general. And I think I posted on my story. I was like, I thought I was good at business, and then I met them, and now I feel
Yeah.
like shit. Uh, and one thing that we talked a lot about was onboarding. And so it's like, well, what do they do with onboarding? Like, first of all, before they even hire the person, let's just start with that because that has to do with onboarding. Before the final interview with Alex or Layla, they have written a very well written VSL. Like, it's literally a VSL, and it sells the person on the vision of the company and why this is so important. It gets them like super excited to have this final interview. Okay.
Awesome.
And they force them to watch that before the interview. And then they ask them questions about it.
Okay,
And
so
and it's like, I didn't get to actually see the video, but like Layla was walking through like it's literally a VSL. Like, it is slides. It's like picture of VSL. That's what it is. All right.
yeah,
So like people come into their company, they're like super bought into the vision, like even beyond just like, oh, this is a big brand. It's like, no, like I
yeah,
actually, the whole vision that they have, all that. I won't give it away, but that's their thing, right? Then when they come on, guess what? There's company specific onboarding. So meaning, you know, like, hey, we need to give them access to Google Workspace and we need to get access to Gusto. You're gonna pay them that, whatever. Most businesses don't even have that done. It's just
yeah,
like it's just like a free for all. It's like, oh
yeah,
yeah, you need this here. Oh, I forgot you need this, right?
yeah,
And then there's role specific onboarding. So role specific onboarding is like, hey, for the setter role specifically, you need this script, you need to see this process, you need to go through this training, etc. So at closers, what we do is all new salespeople come on and they go through a variation. Obviously, closers says a little bit different, but a variation of the same process. So we have an internal school group with all of our company training for every single role in the company. So setters, closers, any repeatable role. Like, we're not like, obviously, like we're gonna have like in-depth training on CMOs. It's like they're gonna
yeah,
hire a CMO and not hire another one for 5 years, right? Um, but any role where you're hiring a lot of, we have a full course. And this is not like it's like a video. Like, this is like it's like 15 hours of course content, like for every role, right? And it's very in-depth. And like they're not even allowed on the meetings until they go through that.
yeah,
Like, we're like, you're not even starting until you go through that. And frankly, like the way we look at that is like, if they don't complete that within at most 48 hours, we just let them go.
How do you track?
Because
Do you have like questions and stuff like that at the end of it, or is it just pure just them consuming?
um yeah, so we don't have questions, but like, obviously as they're ramping up every day, the sales manager meets with them one on one.
Yeah, of course.
And like it's pretty easy to tell. It's like
Yeah.
they ask questions on like, oh yeah, so how far are you in the in the program? Oh, I just watched this video, got it. And then here's the thing: we've had this happen a couple times where people say that they've done it, then they get on the meetings and they start shadowing, and you can just tell based on the questions that people are asking if they've actually gone through and studied it or not.
Mm.
Like if they ask like 6 questions in a row that are obviously answered in the program, it's like, okay, well, obviously you didn't watch the program or you didn't pay that much attention, you know. And we've had a couple times where it's like, this is more for closers, but we'll have a closer come in and take the what we call like our live transfer overflow slot. So they don't get anything booked on their calendar. And they take one call and we review the call and it's like, yeah, you didn't watch the fucking training, dude. Go back and watch the training. You're off the calls.
Yeah.
You know? But so that's number one is like you need a documented process that is a requirement to get started. You need to sell them on the vision. You need like basic onboarding stuff like, hey, like company, here's what you need to be a part of the company. You need this.
Yeah.
And then dude, it's really like once you have all of that in place, it's just a lot of time. Like I think like the biggest mistake that I see sales managers make in the industry is they treat their like I don't want to say they treat their closers better than their setters in terms of like how they respect them. Like, I don't think that's what some sales managers do that, but I don't think that's what most do.
Yeah.
But they treat them better in terms of like how much time they give to their closers versus their setters. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, setting teams are kind of neglected, to be honest. Um, and this is like a huge issue because it's like, dude, when the setters are performing, like magically close rates are way better. It's just like, but like, let's not give them any time. Like it doesn't really make sense. Um, and so it's just, I mean, dude, it's just having the for lack of better words, like the basics,
Yeah.
dialed in.
Another 30-second summary. What's another thing that you learned from the dinner that you can share?
Let me think. So they have an internal process. This is a bit advanced, but I mean, I don't know. It's the first thing that came to my mind. They have a like it's a process that is summarized by a quote. So I'll give you the quote first. It's no memo, no decision. So they don't make any decisions in their company without a written memo. It's like, what is a memo? Well, it's like it's a written document that basically there's 4 key components of the memo. It's explaining what the memo is about, why it's important and relevant,
Yeah.
and like why this would be helpful for the business, why we should make this decision a certain way, etc. How we're actually going to do it, especially if it's a bigger initiative.
Yeah.
And then what's next? Like, is this next? Does this take priority? Is there something else that's more important than this? What's the timeline, etc. And so every single decision that they have, and even if it's a smaller decision, it's a smaller memo, right? It might be half a page, but their memos are as big as 20, 30, 40 pages,
That's
right?
crazy. Yeah.
And and by the way, everyone has to follow this rule. It's not just like, oh, you're an employee. It's like, no, the business owners follow it too. And this is a good lesson for business owners.
Yeah.
Hermosi shared the story where he had this really cool idea. He was out, he didn't want to write a memo. So he just like sent a video to his team and then he got roasted by his team for not writing a memo. And then he wrote it. Okay. So like, and he was laughing about it. He's like, yeah, like I kind of fucked up, And so it's like, I think like business owners will like create processes and like not do them. It's just like, no, like you if you're making the process, you got to do it too, you know. Um, but the reason why I think that's so impactful is because you what a lot of people cannot, especially salespeople, by the way, especially salespeople, are really good at selling you on like on an idea on the phone.
Yeah.
Cole, by the way, is very good. Cole will just call me and be like, "Hey, dude, I think we should do this totally different thing," and then like sell me on the phone. And it's like what you really should be doing is writing out all of your thought process, giving it to your team, not even talking to them and saying, hey, you need to rip through this. It forces you to write everything out and think through everything like sequentially, right? And why it makes sense. And then your team goes through and they write comments on every piece of the document, asking questions, poking holes, all that you have to answer for, right? So guess what? The better your memo, the less comments.
Yeah.
No,
That's
and then we only meet to discuss the memo. If there's no memo, we don't even need to meet. There's no point.
great. I think that's helpful for even people as well. I feel like the biggest issue with especially newer business owners and even setters is just communication. So I don't feel like people at lower revenue uh plateaus, they don't necessarily have to make a memo, but I think written explanations of what's going on, the plan for the business and why you're doing it, it gives a sense of direction not only for the business owner because they're subconsciously writing it and they're putting it in their head, but it also helps the sales reps get direction. Um, I have one more question and then I'll let you go, I swear. We're obviously in the info product space, the coaching space, consulting space. Um, a lot of people have different words for it. It's kind of I like to think of it as kind of like the new education in a way, where like there's billions of dollars being ripped away from learning institutions, colleges, universities. They're being invested into coaches and people learning from people that they actually want to learn from instead of learning from a professor that makes 70 grand a year that hates their job, right? So just for
Yeah.
example, there's obviously coaches on Instagram. There's people like Jordan Peterson that has this academy, and it's kind of expanding, right? And you, in of itself, within coaches.io, you guys are a main part of it growing to the point that it's at, but then also it growing still, right? You guys bring a lot of sales reps into the industry, and then you guys always and often bring in a lot of business owners to consult with and place with, right? So with all that being said, with the industry growing and kind of being the new education, um, I guess like how do you feel about I guess your impact in this industry? Because I don't know if you think about it like this, right? But if I was in your shoes, there's probably like a lot of weight on your shoulders, right? Where it's like you guys are the biggest people in the newest, most important industry in the world, potentially. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? And like I guess like where do you guys kind of see I guess like you taking yourself in the next year or so and like what are your plans?
Well, first of all, I think that's a very generous statement. So thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, honestly, I don't think much about like I haven't thought about, my impact specifically on like the greater industry, um, or our company's impact. What I can say is I think the future is really exciting for info. And if I wasn't building a SaaS, I'll tell you exactly what I would do. Is because as you were talking, this just like popped in my head. I was like, this is like because I'm the way I think is I'm like, what's the $1 billion opportunity? Like not and this relates to what you mentioned about DM funnels. Like, by the way, we're not anti DM funnels. We think DM funnels are great,
Yeah.
right? The reason why we don't do a ton of DM funnels uh internally is not because we don't like them. It's because of the fact that typically speaking, and I mean if you just use basic common sense, right? It's easier to scale a funnel that is not based on labor. So meaning not based on DMs. Like the less labor that the funnel is based on, the bigger the opportunity for the funnel typically, right? And because of the fact we've mastered, direct response marketing to a point, we can kind of skip that step. But it's what I'd recommend most people, a lot of people start with, especially if they have an audience. Anyways, as that relates to this, I'm always thinking like, man, what's the biggest opportunity? I think the biggest opportunity in info right now, and this is not a 1 year opportunity, this is a 20-year opportunity, is if what you're saying is true, like, hey, we're taking money out of colleges and institutions. Well, most people, candidly, they don't want to start a business. They don't, right? Uh, they go to college to party, but the logical reason is they go to party, they go to college to uh, you know, get a job and all of that.
Yeah.
And I think someone could create some sort of uh, I don't know what you'd call it, but it would be like you would basically go and partner with 20 different career opportunities. Hey, we're going to get you into biotech. We're going to get you into cybersecurity. We're going to get you into Wall Street. We're going to get you into getting a doctorate, like whatever it is, right? 20 that sales, right? And you're going to roll all those up into one company and have one brand around.
Yeah.
And that company would actually be taking money directly from institutions and colleges and
So
all that.
do you feel like anyone in the industry has even thought about that or is planning that, or do you think we're too early? And do you think people can capitalize on doing something like that?
Um, I don't know if other people have thought about that. I haven't thought about that until 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's so yeah, it's super interesting you bring this up. I think it more in like the niche of like sales coaching and training, but there's a lot of like recruitment platforms. And I don't know
mm,
how you would monetize this, and I'm just speaking this off the top of my head, right? But it's like what if there's a platform like that where it was much easier to get the personalized support you need for sales? You're not just getting like a generic sales coaching. If you're from India, you're getting a training from teaching you how to have success in the US market overseas. You're gonna have a specific course for if you're a middle-aged mom compared to an
Yeah.
18-year-old kid. And it's like, how do you make that
Right.
personalized at scale and not only train people, but also help people get jobs in sales, right? And have it wrapped up under like one umbrella. You know what I mean? And then obviously do that with like many different kind of curriculums. So yeah.
Well, and this is where like, the info industry gives a lot of hate to colleges. And like I agree, like I dropped out of college. I'm not a big fan of
Yeah.
college, like to be clear.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same time, we do have to look at what they've done and like have some admiration. Like, I mean, you have institutions with 100,000 students.
Yeah.
And like that implies there's 100,000 people willing to pay a metric ton of money to go to this school. So like obviously they've figured out demand.
Yeah.
Like they figured that out. Um, but in terms of like the truth is, I mean, I don't know the latest data, but as of a couple of years ago, people who graduate college do on average make, it's only a few grand more than like someone who doesn't, but still, it is still more, right? And they've obviously figured out at some level, previous to the internet, how to at scale do education with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
People from overseas that are coming in that are abroad students, people learning different disciplines, all of that. And so I bet you there's I don't know this to be true, but I bet you there's a lot of, if you're trying to build the company that I just explained, there's probably a lot of learning lessons you can get from what colleges do well, but
Yeah.
also like what they don't do well. And how to like, be different than just a college. 'Cause I'm not proposing you have like an online
Yeah.
college,
Yeah. No, this is great. Spencer, I appreciate your time. This is awesome. I think this will add value to a lot of people.
Sweet, dude. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See you guys. Bro, thank you. That was amazing.